pretty good. Surprised it's on Monday. Oh no. So, as Saya, our beautiful host, is saying, welcome to the 5th Monday Shuffle.
Something shuffle.
And,
they can hear me now.
Alright, good. And this will be the final Monday Shuffle for now. And we'll be back on a more regular schedule, I guess. I'm here because I was not ready for an earlier bracket, and I have a really late day tomorrow, so I can do this before I head to bed and then wake up for work, which is nice. So I appreciate it.
Yep.
And that was some stuff going on the bracket side, but we're finally live and we can get in these games.
Yeah. Wait, is there a stream delay?
There's small delay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. It doesn't matter. But what does matter is our first matchup here. We have two Celsi players, two of the up-and-coming Celsi players, and these are two that have very good results recently. 8th and Kinger. 8th, of course, got the upset on Lux earlier, and Kinger got top 8 in that same tournament, 8th barely missing out. So this is a pretty close one. Yeah, I'm interested to see how this goes, especially because the Celsi mirror is a little bit of an interesting matchup, right?
It's really fast paced, right? Both of the characters run really good tools to punish each other, but not specifically on reaction to the return. Like, Celis's weapon 1 is probably the lowest recovery on all of the steps. Well, quote-unquote recovery, because it moves also the least. So when Celis is stepping, you can kind of go for that whiff punish, but not really. But then again, Celis invading to you, then using stuff like Snow Cone, Frost Slash, which has a lot of actives, to then counteract the return. It's cool. It's cool. And that pun was not intended, so.
Well, yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, especially looking at these decks, right? I think Kinger has a pretty standard Frost Celsi deck, but 8th, on the other hand, is piloting something a little bit more interesting.
I do like 8th's deck. It does have, like, on EU side, we have a little bit of these weird decks in, like Rush, really good on Celsi, very good at punishing guys who try to stuff your steps. After, like, if you whiff your weapon 1, you can then rush at your opponent when they're trying to press more actives and then punish them. Rage. I mean, it shows it's a good connection for me, and we can swap sides for players if this keeps happening, I guess.
Yeah, we could. Maybe this will just work, hopefully. I'm not quite sure why that happened, but I'm ready to get into the game. And I think Hyper Beam, the most interesting addition on the 8th side, throws it out a lot. Just Rog tries to step into it. And what are your thoughts about that card on this character?
It's cool. Celis is really good at hit confirm a lot of these weapons, like Crystal Rifle, which is why you see Frost with it. And Hyper Beam is technically a Crystal Rifle-like spell. Very vertical. And like vertical, horizontal, I mean, in this game. Whatever, directions don't matter, everything's fake. And it's good reward. It does cost a lot of mana, but then again, like, you can do 3 steps into Hyper Beam. That's gonna be good damage.
Yeah.
Also, like, Eruption is really cool. You're probably expecting a lot of bomb decks, especially since there's been a lot of talk about bomb recently. So it's one of those cards that works well with your poison package, with your frost package, and then cleanses the bombs as well.
Yeah,
So it's kind of multi-tool in this deck.
And so far, 8th has just built up a pretty consistent lead, going for the Hyper Beam as well, but I think in general, Kinger's kind of finding it a little bit difficult, but with that Shield Break, might be able to find something. The Frost Slash as well, that's a lot of damage back, and suddenly the game's even.
Yeah. Ooh, but unfortunately,
I cursed it.
Eruption.
8's deck is scary, because one misstep and you eat so much damage, and oh, we're getting a little bit of a lag spike. Hopefully everything's all good. Okay, it was just the start.
It's evened out now. Yeah, both of these decks utilizing Freeze as well, and Freeze does give you a lot of combos because it's more hit stun, making combos work better in cases where they wouldn't normally, and it's just more damage as well. And both of these players are using spells that apply multiple frost stacks, so you could see more of them. Kinger specifically like has a very heavy frost packet and then you get your crystal rifle for running more damage.
I will say though, Kinger's going for a lot of these scissors, trying to counter hit, but getting counter hit a lot of the time when using them when 8th is up close. So I think 8th has really recognized that and made sure that isn't the extra damage, as this game is very, very close in the mid game, especially because both of these Celsius are content to just camp the back row whenever one is rushing forward with that anchor cancel.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about its deck as well. Oof, nice Hyper Beam. Ooh, what a nice Eruption. But as I was saying, there's Rush and Blink, which obviously are pretty okay when you're invading your opponent and you're on top of them. You get nice extensions that way. But also, if your opponent is trying to box you, melee you a lot, you can just get in. It's free. You just get in there. Like, there you cut yourself in a good position to whiff punish. Sadly, it didn't come to fruition, but it's just a good card. On other characters than Shireta.
Yeah, and
it's goated on Shireta, but
yeah, and 8th is actually really slowing the pace of this game down, right? Of course, it's counter a little bit there, but this playstyle, with that 3x3 coverage and the Hyper Beam, is making it so difficult for Kinger to get anything started. 8th is just standing back and getting big openings while Kinger needs to try and find these pieces, but really just can't land much while 8th is taking advantage of it.
It's not like 8th is comboing Kinger for big damage. They just get few big hits every now and then they just chill again.
Oh, and that's again the front row, the rush, and the push slash. 8th, a clean 3-0, and I thought this would be a close set, but I think 8th had all the tools.
Yeah, like, this deck is very cool. Everything about it just kind of comes together. Like, you have a lot of, how do I say, low-tier cards. That's what it's not the meta pick, but Frost Package, alright, I'm gonna put in Acid Rain, because it deals more damage with Frost proc. Very cool. Now, my opponent is poisoned, so they want to come in. Well, I'm gonna run Eruption and Rush and Blink to punish that. And it's very interesting synergies coming together for a neat deck.
Yep. And now we're heading into the second round. Of course, a 16-player bracket means this is the top 8 qualifier. And we have two matchups to watch today. Softlock versus Lepton and Hubsco versus Residential. Hubsco, Residential, both up-and-coming players that have found very consistent success recently. And Softlock versus Lepton. Lepton actually taking it over Tenebrae in that first round. A bit of an upset. And now against Softlock, who might be a bit of a menace.
Yeah, it's always weird because I'm EU, so I don't see these players in ranked myself. So I kind of just gauge the power level by looking at tournaments and like what they type in chat. And like, I don't really remember Softlock at all, nor Lepton. Like, I've seen them, but I don't recall their gameplay at all. Whereas Tenebrae is like, I think about Violet, I think about Shuix and Mikolev, of course, but then I also think about Tenebrae, like pretty soon, like quick after that. So it's kind of scary to see them drop round 1. And now I get to see like what's going on behind that.
Oh, but interestingly, Softlock and of course Perpiel both using Dreadworm this tournament, and this is gonna be an interesting bracket to watch, especially because Leptin on that Shopkeeper. This is gonna be a pretty scary matchup.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a lot of drop frames, sadly. But we can pray they fixes it.
yeah.
Itself.
Will it settle down? Oh,
It's kind of there.
oh, we're back.
All right, we're back. If it keeps happening, I'd try to recommend them to swap places, just to see if it has something to do with me being here. But anyway, let's get into the game. Dreadworm. No one's gonna be mad if I say Dreadworm's the worst character in the game.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. No one's gonna be mad. I wouldn't necessarily agree, but yeah, the Dreadworm.
Like the thing is, I don't think Dreadworm's the worst character in the game. It's pretty close, but no one will be mad if I say Dreadworm's the worst character in the game.
Yeah.
Because she does lack a lot of basic combo tools, I want to say. Like, the pokes are really good, but when the meta is these big combos and, well, you need shield breaks for those.
Yeah.
And, like, the beam, it's good. It's actually quite good at zoning and shield breaking. But it's not Shizo's gun, so it's kind of slower at that than what Shizo does. What else is there to say about Dreadworm? She's just kind of chilling.
Well, her secondary. I really want to start calling Weapon 1 and Weapon 2 primary and secondary because it just rolls off the tongue better.
It does. It's just that typing Weapon 1, W1 and W2 is so much easier.
That is true.
It does get jumbled in your brain a little bit, but I'll try to get into that as well then.
It is much better. You were so right. Oh, wait. I spoke too soon.
It didn't last nearly as long. Oh.
Oh, this connection issue.
And Softlock does show a lot of jitter as well.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate. It does cause these because the game can't keep up with the constant ping changes, so it has to drop frames.
Yeah,
it's just how it is.
Unfortunately, this might be a connection DQ unless both players are fine with playing it here, which it looks like they are.
But, there's a lot of interesting things about Softlock's Dreadworm deck, though, because, well, you don't see a lot of Dreadworms anyway. Like, the Beam Crystal and Weapon 2, you can kind of just chill behind it. You know? Toss out your Weapon 1, your primary. You're covering 2 lanes, and your opponent can't really poke you with projectiles.
Yeah.
And then, you can do your secondary to push up for more damage. You can step up, just slightly step to break the crystal yourself. A lot of straight line with the bouncing blade as well. Bomb, which is a good card overall. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think this is going to have to be connection-based DQ here.
And if it does, like, as Softlock themselves is saying, it looks like it's there and with the jitter. So like it's pretty obvious if we can all see from the game that it's probably you, then it's probably you. Which is a big shame as well, because I really wanted to see Lefton play. How would they do against Tough
Yeah.
Is a pretty well known gamer, although Dreadworm. It's weird. And this deck was, it's weird because it just has a lot of good tools, but it's not like the best tools. And then it has glitter, which I assume is like really good. Like logically thinking about it, it's really good on Dreadworm. If you think about the zoning gameplay of Dreadworm, make your opponent move a lot. So you toss out secondary, and when it's on 2 rows, then you toss out glitter. They're gonna be kinda on top of each other, and then you can toss out your primary, take out 2 other lanes as well. It's gonna be really hard to move around from that, and because it all comes with a delay, you're already gaining back some of your mana, so you might be able to get something to follow up. Just visually hit confirm. Okay, this glitter hit, that means my secondary hits, and now I can go for another one. But that is unfortunate. But then we get into the Hopskoa residential. Gamers don't need no interaction. I'm sure we've all seen them play. We've all seen them talk. In the Discord, very well-known players in the community at this point, as they should be. Both are cool, both are good. I want to say this is pretty basic Saffron deck, but I've said this multitudes of times. Every Saffron deck looks like a basic Saffron deck to me, because that character can run most cards in the game.
Yeah. This is actually this is a really big departure for Hubsko in particular, though. Hubsko has been really committed to that consistent damage spear stacking spear wave deck, but this is just a more standard Saffron deck that you would not associate with Hubsko as a player.
Yeah. It could be like testing out like these fundamentally good tools today, because where else would you test them? In ranked? No, you're gonna lose elo. Here's you get good matches here. And I do like the Rush is such a good card with invade spells, so you'll love to see that. And Residential's Shopkeeper deck, I don't think... Well, I haven't seen it since the mine changes, so... Obviously there had to be some changes to it. It's still, like... You're fishing for big hits and combos. Like, as a Shopkeeper you should. But, SD Tower is always an interesting one to me.
Yeah, and... by no means doesn't mean that like the combos are dead, right? I've seen Perp land a few like slightly different combinations with the mine, but you can't just like throw it out in the midst of a combo. But Hubsko actually getting caught by that Ragnarok, and Residential's just playing this game really slow and hitting so many of the Shopkeeper 2 pieces.
Yeah, like that's how you should play this. I use this allegory a lot. Shopkeeper is the grappler of this game. Like a good grappler. Mm-hmm. You're gonna play slow, you're gonna toss out big spells, but when they hit, and you do get good hits on this character, they're gonna do a lot of damage. Like, without Align Ragnarok, you still have your secondary into Guillotine, and your secondary into your primary, into a Kinetic Wave, into Ragnarok, and you just chip out a lot, and then you chill. Play it safe, dodge a lot, go again.
You said it perfectly, and right as you said it, Residential closed out that game. Hubsko is going to need to find some more consistent damage, more consistent openings, especially against this Residential that's just not afraid to sit in the back row. It's so much easier to
Hubsco
react to
is-
things in that back
Use of
row.
secondary is really cool because, yeah, obviously Saffron's best tool is the primary. It's the best primary in the game, probably. At least the neutral. So, them using the secondary when there's an SD turret or something else in the way just to catch residential off guard, which is cool. Ooh, but these alliance, they do be like on top of Shopkeeper already dealing good damage. You got these align hits as well, and this pretty recent discovery that the weapon 2 combos into Thunder. I think it was like 3 days ago that people noticed that. Oh wait, this has been changed. It works now.
But now Hubsco is in a bit of a tough spot. 4 health remaining, and almost anything will put them in the grave now. Trying to get this step forward when that claw trap disappears, but ends up getting stuck, has the shield away, and gets away from the guillotine as well. Hubscoa surviving, but the triple barrel doesn't connect. That's gonna line a little bit of damage down as Hubscoa tries to stay alive. But Residential just needs one more hit here. Doesn't matter. Hubscoa finds the opening and evens up the set.
Both players played really cleanly at the end. Like, Hubsco obviously playing cleanly when you're low on HP and just dodging hits, not dying. But Residential also was really close to dead a lot of times, just looking at Hubsco's cards. Any primary hit there could have killed because Hubsco could have just comboed up from it. But now we're getting back into this neutral situation where it's just both trading a little bit of hits. And but this time Hubsco taking the early lead instead. Whereas usually you've been getting hit by a lot of these bad combos. Real nice dodges as well. This time around. Yeah, this Thunder rag hand is kind of annoying because you kind of want to keep one of them as Shopkeeper, but it's very mana heavy, and you're playing as Saffron who can just poke you and then confirm. Couldn't quite get it there, but nice dodge with the rush. It starts very fast with the invul. I think it's frame 1. It's either frame 2 or frame 1. Invul.
Well, this time though, a great self-defense surge from Residential will get a bit of damage back, but Hubsco is playing this defensive neutral quite well so far, but that's a lot of damage in the Residential hand. One of them doesn't land in a Raw Ragnarok, and Hubsco is in full control of the pace of the game right now.
Man. Hub really wants Residential to just start walking forward, so very nice. Really nice stacks return into a kill. Just beautiful. That's how you zone back row as a Shopkeeper. But like, Hubsco plays it really back to get more out of the hit confirms of the weapon. Just force the Shopkeeper that has to play 4 away, close in. And that's another really beautiful use case for Rush. It does disarm traps. So you can just go over those tax returns and do whatever you want.
Yep. Well, unfortunately, Hubsco getting caught this time, and kind of speaks to that grappler nature of Shopkeeper you talked about, right? Residential's using the health like a resource, especially in that last game. Dropped down to 3 health, I believe, from the inverter. But even then, getting the shield break, getting the guillotine, that's the kill, that's the set. And
one damage from the shield break.
One opening's all it takes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful character. Like, people say that there's a lot of debate about the tier list, as it is with every fighting game. And I did think Shopkeeper really good. But the thing is, just like many travelers that might have been top tier in some games, they still struggle a little bit in neutral specifically, and I think that's really true for Shopkeeper in this game. in some matchups at least. And they're always kind of hard to play. It's not the most... You just don't run all the basic step spells and then get big damage off that way that are easy. Or you don't... How to explain this? Just flush it out and then hit confirm in the damage. You just really need to get the right read and then kill your opponent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Residential got the big payoff, right? That shield break, and especially for a shopkeeper that had so many cards in hand, just so much damage.
You already run so many good cards, and the funny thing is, if this was pre-quote-unquote nerf shopkeeper, that combo wouldn't have killed, because Guillotine is now an execute instead of equalizer, and it dealt 20 damage because your opponent was at under 20 HP. Whereas previously, you would have had HP lead and would have been only 13 damage, and there could have been Hupsko upset from 6 HP. Not always, but could have happened.
Yeah, and now we're at another classic matchup, of course. We talk about Perv versus Mikkel in these weekly tournaments, but Perv versus Residential in the round just before might be just as iconic here as in this winter semis. We're in top 8 now, is the student versus the master, but the issue is Perv is not on Shopkeeper this time. Dreadworm is her primary deck.
And this is another matchup I really wanted to see from this tournament. Like, looking at the brackets really quickly, this is what I wanted to see. Not because of the nature of Master versus Student, but specifically because of the Redworm versus Shopkeeper. Because Redworm does kind of choke you out from movement with their spells, and Shopkeeper requires precise aim. Sure, it's AoE spam as well, but like, if there's a beam or a claw covering the lane you want to stand on, you just can't toss out those Gravitas into tax returns into big damage, or Gravitas into whatever.
Yep. But it looks like we have a few more top 8 qualifiers actually. Softlock taking it over Tired and True. But Airy actually getting the win over a 3-1, and Airy is a player that we haven't seen nearly as much in these tournaments, so...
Yeah, so they haven't been in tournaments, so I was kind of like, when I saw the name floating around, I was like, no, okay, who's this guy? I want to see him play. And I watched Luke's stream. I think it was yesterday or the day before, and they queued into Airy a lot of times. I was like, where has this person been? Like, queue up, get on brackets, play on Sunday Shuffle. I want to see this. It was a thing of beauty.
Yeah, and since she's in top 8 now, first round lost to Residential, but it was a loss that was 3-2. It was a very close set, it looks like, so probably gonna have a pretty deep bracket run here. But oh wait, made it in spell profile picture on Start GG. I'm already a fan. I think I'm gonna be cheering her on this tournament.
Another nice thing to see is that Softlock did. We had to TQ them from winner's side due to bad connection, but they got it fixed and they beat Tired and True. I do want to point out that the connection issues are maybe solved for now, so we'll pray. And also look, prior taking it over Tenebrae. Wrench do be wrench. You get hit, you're dead.
And Taku Pirate pilots it quite well.
Yeah.
And important to note that actually Tenebrae, it was 3-2, but won traded the first 3 games. It was 2-1 in favor of Tenebrae. Then after one of the losses switched to Nira, so the Taku Pirate must have won pretty decisively to force that switch away from the signature Violet.
I do think, like, personally, I don't think Violet does really well into Hazel, because you can just chill on the second or third row and you can poke through the boxes with your primary, and then you can confirm those very well in damage. But Nera also does have a pretty strong primary and can then do it from even further back, and you don't have to challenge. And you probably don't want to challenge Hazel in the first row as well. So I can see the character change being logical, but then again, is your sub character as good as your main character? Can it bring you the difference? But we'll now get into the beautiful matchup that is Residential versus RPO. Well, we already saw a Residential deck. It's beautiful. This Dreadworm deck, though, has really good cards. Like, you have your classic Slash package, and then you have your Vivisection, which is very good card. You should play it more. Minigun, your basic combo tool. Paragon, also very nice combo off-angle tool. So it's just a bundle of good stuff, and I kind of want to see what does this character do with it.
Yeah, I think Perp actually stated in chat earlier that she just put a bunch of good cards in this deck, so maybe good cards are just what you need. Even the Vivisection is a little bit interesting to see here. Wait, that's not the Vivisection, is it?
Yeah, it
is, okay.
Vivisection is one of those cards that it can backfire on you, which is always something when you look at the card, it's gonna feel bad. No, I can kill myself with this. It's gonna be bad if I put this out and then I trade from a random hit and now I'm stuck and I take 15 damage. Oh no. But also, it's really good at clearing bombs. It's really good in combos. It's 1 mana, 15 damage. And step spells just allow you to use it. Also, look at that. It's really good in neutral as well.
Yeah, I think it's the highest damage per mana card in the entire game, right? Even beating out Ultra Angle barely, so...
Yeah, it's like 0.3 or something over Ultra Angle, which is funny.
Yeah, so it's just a lot of chip damage. Even if you just land one hit of it, it's pretty good value, and Residential's feeling the effects of it because Perp is just not getting hit in this neutral. Finally, the guillotine lands, but that's not that much damage, all things considered, especially with how much of a lead Perp has and almost threatening a shield break there.
Yeah, very beautiful usage. It's the Shiso playstyle, and the updraft takes it. I like that Paragon hit into just cover up. But like Shiso can toss out those guns and threaten stuff up. You can just kind of do the same with your beams on Dreadworm. And from stuff like Vivisection as well. Oh, beautiful dodge of the hit there. Not taking the SD turret either. Just tossing out stuff and then praying that they shield break can allow for pretty nice combos, especially with these cards. Like, a lot of these cards do really well in comp. Just like Vivisection from shield break, or minigun, or bouncing blade while you're minigunning. It's gonna be nice. So there's also that innate synergy in the deck.
Yeah, and this game is looking a lot more doable for Residential, getting a lot more of that early damage, but that secondary coming out from Perp is doing quite a bit of chip, but that Raw Ragnarok attempt might actually set Residential a bit behind now, as a self-defense turret also comes in.
Also, like, just player-wise, I'm pretty sure Perp's the #1 player who can look at the screen and understand the zones that the shopkeeper is currently threatening, because it's probably in her bones, in her DNA at this point. Just knowing that that's 4 away, those tiles around the 4 away are threatening me, and if I'm in those, if my opponent's in those and she's playing shopkeeper, Well, that means I'm also in hers.
Yeah, and despite the slight deficit there, Perp managing to take that victory again, and Residential's gonna need to find a little bit more damage to try and make up for that, especially when Perp just stops getting hit. And so far, finding quite a bit of it here, but we saw last game how... Wait, the vivisection.
Yeah, the vivisection does hit yourself, so it's not the easiest timing for the dodge. But like, comparing these to the Hapskoa match, Residential has so much higher like difficulty finding those good hits. They still do get hits, but it's not the big ones anymore. And then you're... Ooh, very nice parry. Just kind of stuck here dealing little bits of damage instead of the 20s and 30s what you want to see.
Oh, but Residential landing the bow snipe there, and now Perp in a lot of danger. The execute comes in, the perfect amount of HP, and that's Residential taking one.
I do love seeing the guillotine execute coming into play. It's kind of silly, but it does warm my heart every time I see them. Yeah, this card, it has a gimmick in it. It's cool. We all love it. Very nice step over the step dodge into the over the trap, but then getting hit on the return, not timing it correctly for the attack return to disappear. And now Ragaline. This is gonna be scary, but no, you're just chilling, dodging, not even spot dodging, just moving out of the way. Both of them recycling their decks. See what they can get. I do like the breakout weapon too, Gravitas. It's a neat tool. And there, Rarag, Torpil. Oh my god, the SD turret. Now you're on lethal range. Pretty much any spell. Oh, and that's it.
We're headed to a game 5. Rez with the perfect SD turret to get so much damage onto Perp, and closing it out there with the shield break. And looks like Perp has taken off the weights. The Dreadworm is gone.
Yeah. Perp doesn't want to go to losers yet. They're not ready for this one. The Hansel's ready. Give them 2 seconds. Just take a breather, take a breather. We're not in a hurry. It's really nice to see these guillotine hits and whatnot to just do damage, but now we're actually gonna see like the mirror match. Purple actually getting to track, but like they're both trying to track the opponent perfectly for these big hits, and then just toss it out, and then use a little bit of the zoning here, like these traps. Oof. Look at that.
Oh,
if that didn't step hit, you would have been half dead already.
Yeah, really good hit step though, to not be half dead there from Residential, and to try and keep it a little bit more even, but it's going to be really hard to get around Perp, especially in a matchup like this, getting a little bit of damage with the bomb covering the dodge from Residential.
Yeah, and like, oh my god, the align, oh, it's all so beautiful. Like, Perp has the perfect brain on seeing what cards she has coming up. Where do I need to put my traps for allowing me to combo these cards together? Like, sure, Ragaline doesn't need a lot of setup, but she just tosses out the Rag instead, and just chooses to keep the Align for something else, like this mine here.
Oh, but good dodge by Residential. The defense really coming in, showing that they're pretty experienced in a matchup like this, but the triple barrel, a little bit more damage there, and the Align just dodged away. But those bombs are starting to get really scary, but they don't connect, and Residential does stay alive for a little bit longer, but I think held on to the single thunder for too long, and now is really behind in terms of, I guess, tempo, if you can call it that.
Very nice defuse, but oh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perp just showing. It's the classic old sit down. I'm not old enough yet. You can have my throne after I've done 20 more years of ruling the shopkeeper. But
yes, still pretty solidly played by Residential, right? Did not get taken down by the Dreadworm and was keeping up quite well in the matchup until Perp found the big opening.
Actually forcing out. That's the big thing. Like, you want, when you're playing against players better than you, it does feel kind of bad when your opponent is just kind of playing around. Like, obviously, it's not the worst feeling in the world. You still know you're the better player and you're gonna learn something, but I'd rather go 0-60 against Dukes' bio than go 0-20 against, or 1-20 against their Maple. I mean, that's just me. Yeah, you gotta take the pride in making her feel the need to switch. Like, you're actually putting pressure on the top players.
Yep, and here's another challenger here. Leptin has been talked about as a bit of a demon recently, and we'll be facing off against Mikkel here, but I'm not quite sure how this will turn out because the previous game we saw did go to full 5.
Alright. Mikkel was kind of cringe today. Earlier, I'm just calling him out. He did forget to send the decks before we started the tournament, but since it was really just the start of the tournament and they themselves saw it, we made the one exception, the only one. Next time, get out. Just next time you want to compete, you better send me a bill of $500 or something. PayPal.
Yeah, if if he wasn't the one that realized, or if he realized a little bit later, that would have been a pretty devastating DQ. But instead, he is nice and healthy in this bracket here.
And like, Mikkel Shiso, I don't know if there's another better Shiso currently playing. I remember there was the one alpha player who's really good at Shiso, but kind of hasn't played in 2 weeks or whatnot.
And yeah, and Shiso has changed a lot, right? Had quite a change from the playtest days where you would just use that gun as an ender, just go bang 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 bang.
Yeah, and Shiso just had 1 mana deal 12 damage, which was like, well, Whirl also dealt 12 damage at that point. And the game was pretty different, but you just get a lot of damage and you just camp out, get those hits, and then confirm.
Speaking of a lot of damage though, Leptin with the defense but gets shield broken at the last moment, but that was a really good combo near the end to kind of wake Mikkel up a little bit.
Yeah. Again, it's the putting the pressure on the top players.
And
Mikkel just kind of tossing out these cards because zoning is something you can do. And if any of the hits connected, you could have gotten nice damage, but now you're working at the deficit because you couldn't pressure your opponent while you're shuffling.
Yeah, and actually Leptin, I even forgot the name of that card because it's not a card that's seen much often at all. The spear pokes that we see in the hand right now.
Oh, Perforate?
Yeah, Perforate is a very rare card, I think, right? And we're seeing it being used to great effect here.
The one thing about Perforate, I personally think, it's one of the better cards in the game. Like, overall power level, but it's very nice bow snipe, just manages to clutch it out. But Perforate has really nice combo potential. Even if you only have 1 spear, it's really nice. And when you have more, it's a really nice payoff. It's a card that was tested on Violet because combo into it, just good extender. But sometimes you just rather have better neutral cards, and like you need other spear cards to actually get that high of a payoff. So you'd rather usually run something like Nagano Burl or whatnot.
Yeah, and we're actually seeing Lepton combo minigun into it quite a bit, but this time gets caught on the dodge by the minigun of Mikkel, left at 6 HP, and this game should be a pretty decisive closer for Mikkel. But wait a second, a little bit more damage from Lepton, a little bit of healing back, and now it's looking very doable for Lepton. Just one big opening could do it, but the minigun and the backstab will close it out.
Now, can you make Mikkel take out the Vio? That's the real question. Like, I think these characters for Mikkel are pretty much the same, but Vio is, as a character, slightly stronger. And a little bit harder to play against, in my opinion.
Oh, but that's a really nice combo for Mikkel with the World Drag and even getting the mark damage too. And Lepton at 7 HP, 2 HP, in danger here. The Flame Breath sitting on the back row, but just the gun will finish it off. Yeah. Mikkel.
Yeah. Very nice. Didn't see any shield breaks on Mikkel's side, or like decisive shield breaks at least. Which is one of the strong suits of the character, right? Like, you can toss the javelin. If you put out javelin, you hit it. You can track your opponent, use your secondary, and then something else for the mark. So it's literally that they cannot shield, and when they shield, there's gonna be something else coming at you, meaning you have to hit step it. Usually, you probably can't, if it's properly timed. I don't think you can spot dodge another one. So it's an interesting situation to be in. Like, this character has a lot of good pressure in that sense, and you just kind of, you can test them all out, but there's so many card combinations in the game, it's not really feasible to test every single timing and card combination out, or where if I should be shielding that and spot dodging this or hit stepping that. You just kind of have to guess those situations.
Yeah, and now we're heading on to the loser side of top 8. Otaku Pirate and Hubs Goa both making it here, and it's going to be an interesting matchup. Hazel versus that Saffron. Hubs Goa looking like they're testing out a more standard Saffron deck, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do.
Yeah. I don't know what to say about this. It's a Saffron deck. You just run good cards. Like,
and
Thunder, very good from auto slash kinetic way, triple barrel. Can confirm of inverters sometimes as well. Push slash, you can play the mix-up game of hitting push slash and then tracking your opponent if they hit step or whatnot, and then chase it with a thunder. Your opponent has to react to that in many ways, and it's just like, we're talking about Vivisection dealing 15 damage for 1 mana. Well, this card is not that good, but it's 7 damage for 1 mana at really fast speeds. So
yeah, Otaku Pirate versus Hubs Goa, we're getting into it, and Otaku Pirates really just content to sit back and use a lot of those structures, and it's going to be a bit of a challenge, right? Hubs Goa has a lot of straight line cards in this deck.
Yeah, but I do want to point out, Otaku Pirate probably has one of my favorite gimmicks for Hazel currently, because you can just zone out with your structures quite a lot, but you can also just toss out 2 boxes and power drain them.
Oh, true.
You're actually running up Prob Power Drain, and now you have 4 spell power. Sadly, the box does get destroyed, but that Flamberge would have dealt a lot of damage if it had connected.
Yeah, we're going to be looking for that big damage here, as the bombs are also getting set up. The Power Drain also having the side effect of setting up these bombs, right? And then Verter will clear it away, but that's probably good for Otaku Pirate in that instance, as they're trying to get this Power Drain down, it looks like.
And then you have your basic bunk cards, but not fully committing into the wrench deck with having miniguns as well. But minigun, if you have power drain double hit, minigun does like 20 damage? Is it 30 damage even? It's a lot.
But not actually.
Although you do need to hit it raw or confirm it for your turret, so.
And Otaku Pirate actually not really finding good use of that self-defense turret so far, but does get the spell power, does have that minigun you were talking about, and only one hit of it connects, so Hubskoa is just firmly in the lead right now.
That's the difference between these decks as well. Like, Hubskoa has just dominating neutral and good confirms of that. But against Bonk Hazel, yeah, that's casual 18 damage without too much of a like requirement for cards. And you're just constantly putting out these structures and make your opponent think, well, what the fuck should I be doing?
Yeah, it's going to be a little difficult for Otaku Pirate here. I think has abandoned the power drain idea a little more, not fishing for it nearly as hard anymore. Kind of gets the urgency of this game right now, and is just going for that bonk damage.
Very nice usage of primary into Flamberge, but Hubskoa hasn't read on it, doesn't get hit. Now pull and double team on deck. Now sadly bricking into the power drain. Bomb is ready though, and it's usually pretty good for power drain. Oh, very nice block. Just make your opponent think you're about the power drain by realizing these structures, but no. Make them commit. Then put the SD tower. Inverter.
Really
very
good
nice dodge.
Yeah, that would have been fatal, right? It would have been 8 damage and the KO in favor of Hubskoa, but Otaku Pirate now still has to watch out. A lot of fast cards. Oh, but doesn't get the bonk out in time. Doesn't have mana, right?
Yeah, just barely was out of mana. So couldn't get it out until it was already shieldable. Like, that was a long match to look at, and you'd think it was a lot of just camping, right? But it's just both of these players are placing a lot of good cards, scary cards on the field, like boxes, and like threatening each other constantly. So it's not that easy to just get the kill.
Yeah, and the bomb setups haven't exactly been that great for Otaku Pirate so far. They haven't really gotten the big payoff, but zoning Hubskoa right into it, that's a big conversion, 31 damage, and the bomb earlier too.
Yeah, that's almost half of your HP gone. Ooh, the crystal coming in clutch with the inverter. But so you're now really scared of playing this neutral against Hazel. Specifically with all of these structures and whatnot. That's the dream, right? Well, not the perfect dream, but your weapon 1 combo it into pull while you have spell power. Pull has, I want to say, 3 hits, so even 2 spell power, that's 9 damage for 1 mana from 3. Also, it's a combo enabler. Imagine if you had the 4 spell power, it's 15 damage. It is a stretch. You won't get it every single time, but when you do, it's gonna be scary. Now, yeah, this is way more. Now that I see this Hubskoa deck, I recognize that, yeah, this is the Hubskoa deck I should be looking out for.
Yeah, going back to the tried and true Spear Wave, but with a little bit more flavor in it. The Inverter, not something we saw in the past, as well as the Vivisection. So those cards in here too, but the main game plan is still the same. You get that consistent Spear Wave damage, but with the structures from Otaku Pirate, a well-played self-defense or even just the boxes could nullify a lot of that damage Hubskoa is looking for.
Yeah, like Spear Wave, I really like its card, like full damage from that amount of setup. It was so cool. But if there's boxes in your way, if there's turrets in the way, it's not that good because it's tree-wide. Just like a line, it's gonna be rough getting those hits to actually work out for you. Toxic Cross, I do think is very nice disarm on the bomb. Toxic Cross, I do think in this matchup is probably pretty well because it off-angles the first stalls and gets you spears and forces the Pirate to come in. So you can, again, start playing on a smaller range, less time to react to your Sparkler.
Oh, and even getting the Raw Thunder. Otaku Pirate, though, getting 25 damage back and maybe a chance, but has to be really careful here. Only 3 health, and that Spear Wave is looking really scary. Just goes for it right through the boxes. There's enough hits. Hupskoa taking the 3rd game.
And you do need enough structures to soak all of the hits. So, it ain't easy. But having 1 structure on the field, or 2, does mean you'll also have an easier time shielding it or spot dodging it. So we'll see. We'll see. But it's very nice when you deck swap, then you get the 2-1 lead, and your opponent doesn't want to deck swap. They're kind of stuck playing this matchup now. Then you set the pace for it.
Yeah, but Otaku Pirate getting a good chunk of 31 there to suddenly take the lead, and this could be a better game, especially because last game Hupskoa kind of ran away with the lead, but Otaku Pirate gets counter hit and takes all 3 hits of Triple Barrel Raw.
Now, I really like Otaku Pirate's use of these weapons. Like, when you can clearly see that they're looking out for specific combinations of cards, then they start placing boxes and using the secondary to move your opponent into the better cards, and just really creating lines where your opponent can. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Although it was well played by Otaku Pirate, we saw a lot of the big combos, we saw a lot of the controlling gameplay. Hupskoa just dodged away from all of it, got the big opening, and closed out the set. Wait, that's GG, right?
Yeah, it's 2-1. You can see the score in the chat.
Yeah, that's 3-1. Okay, but well played from Hupskoa, well played from Otaku Pirate as well, but I think Hupskoa went back to what worked in the past and just so good at using the Spear Wave.
Mm-hmm. It is a hard spell to deal with anyway, because it is very wide, and when you have multiple hits, it's very hard to dodge, and it's very hard to shield. It's just overall quite oppressive if you can force your opponent to not be able to walk out of it. And, like, I think it shield breaks, right, if you have the maximum amount of hits for it. I think it's 12 damage at that point.
Yeah, it's scary.
So, you never know.
But Saffron, this is an interesting one because Airy is now here piloting the Saffron with a Spear Wave.
It's very similar deck as to what we saw just now, but does have the meta slash package and no Toxic Cross, but a little bit more focus on like hitting on combos. So we'll see how it works, and we'll finally get to see Softlock Threadworm properly. Crossing my fingers, knocking on wood.
Yeah.
No connection issues.
Really hoping that does not happen here, because I want to see Airy, player that we mentioned before, but we haven't seen nearly as much yet. But this rapid pace is looking really good, looking like a more offensive Hupskoa. But that shield break immediately soft lock. Oh, but doesn't quite get the setup.
Yeah, missing the setup sadly, but like, this is what I was thinking about when I saw the glitter and the weapons. You just force your opponent to move badly or shield, and then you shield break him, and then you get good rewards. And now you have a prep bomb. We'll see. Missing the backslash and not getting any good value from the bomb biter, but now you have another one and ready to prep that. Very nice move away from the spear wave. Now poking up with primaries, and glitter's on deck, so is backstab. So yeah, just it's so hard to read that on the fly. Where do I need to dodge? You just gotta pray.
Oh, but Airy with one opening just closes out this game. This offensive combo gameplay is really coming in, and I am really scared actually, because where Hubskoa slows the game down and finds a consistent damage, Airy is using a lot of the similar cards but has so much burst potential.
And the spear wave into kinetic wave into whatever you ever could like dream of. Big. And there, like, it did deal nice amount of shield damage, but it didn't actually lead to anything scary this time around.
Oh, but Softlock now with a full hand against Ares. That didn't exist for a bit, but Airy continuing to push forward, throwing out so many good hitboxes and knowing how to convert off of all of them, finding a lot of consistent damage again with the spear wave as well, but has to watch out for these bombs, doesn't get thrown into them, and Softlock's now at a huge deficit as Airy finds 23 damage so rapidly.
Ooh, what a nice spear wave, but beautiful shielding, a good defense. Now we have the bomb, and we prep it anyway. Redworm can't push it away, but doesn't get hit by the pull slash either. And now there's a dagger. Such beautiful movement from both players, just taking minimal damage. And the glitter does not counter hit the spear wave fast enough, so you're getting hit by the projectiles because they're already out and now you're dead. But it was a nice attempt. And now we'll see if Softlock changes. Yeah. It's the thing, right? You wanna play Redworm because you wanna show off the character. This late into the tournament, you also kind of want to win. And what do you do when you want to win? You play your best.
Yeah, Softlock not wanting to go out at 7th place, picking up the shopkeeper here, and this is that other style of shopkeeper, right? Not the big damage, but more of that combo potential.
Yeah, you get consistent good combos and a little bit of zoning. Like, this is more focused on tax returns and then pushing your opponent around with other spells and then step spelling. And you have that bomb backline threat. So it probably also does really well in this matchup. You're threatening about the same amount of damage, but your bombs can be explosive like that. And the tsunami is very good at controlling the front areas. Oh no!
Okay, not the connection issues we saw earlier, thankfully.
Yeah, that's just a small, and the bomb explosion punishing the return from the step spell. What a beautiful thing to happen there.
Yep, but Airy undeterred, right? Usually, after an ending like that, some players might start the next game off a little slower, but undeterred, keeping up in the damage race here.
Just wants to keep up the pace because it wasn't that far off, and like any good combos either ways could have taken it. But well, like look at this. This is an even game still, and beautiful movement. Oh, now we're going into big combos. Beautiful reset, but doesn't hate the bait. Softlock now low on shield, but the bombs are going into the back row. Bouncing Blade sets them up. Kinetic Wave is on deck as well. Backstab. Doesn't get to use it, but there it is. And Tsunami on hand. Just barely enough time to counter hit the Tsunami from the second wave with Spear Wave. Step Slash on board, but no. Kinetic Wave has enough frames to stuff it out.
Yeah, Airy, she's playing well, but when 2 bombs are in the back row, when they're armed, I don't think she's being careful enough, right? Just getting caught there.
You just need to get into the headspace of disarming. Like here, like this time, character can actually put them in the back row pretty easily with using weapon 2s.
Uh-oh.
And now there's 2 of them, and you know, that's 23 damage from a basic confirm because you had backstab and bombs.
Yeah, and the Softlock's really taking that advantage because you kind of need it, right? Because Airy's dealing a lot of consistent damage, so those bomb combos are what you need to keep up to try and outpace the damage here as Airy just continues.
2-2, so you're feeling, even with the back bomb in your back row, you're feeling pretty good at the current situation. These two cards don't really contest, but a nice step dash through the tsunami, not getting hit, and now you have a combo potential, but the bombs in the back row do
not get prepped.
get in a kill, even at your high HP.
Yeah.
But now you're just looking for it. There's
Oh.
few hits and does find it. Beautiful step ups into kinetic wave. Woo! That's a beautiful, beautiful. I swear glitter is good. A beautiful conversion. Just clutching it in at the end, just locked in. As the kids say nowadays.
Yeah.
But that does mean that we are now moving into top 6, the Evo standard nowadays.
People hate it, but
I don't like it, but sometimes you need money. I get it, Evo. It's not like you're the biggest tournament org around. But because I'm from EU, it's getting late. We're gonna have a commentator swap at this point, right?
yep.
I'm not imagining things.
Yep. Thanks for chatting it up with me here.
Yeah, I'm kind of feeling the way from my earlier workday, but I'm happy. I'm happy. Got to say, shoot the shit. Give my piece on this beautiful game. If you are in Finland this coming weekend, normally I shill Duelists of EU then. You should sign up for that. But if you are in Finland or Helsinki, please come to Install 2024. It's this weekend. I'm running a Duelist of Eden bracket, but we also have a lot of other fighting games you can probably play, even though the big signups are already closed. Just buy a spectator pass. You can play some of the side events. I'd love to see you there if it's possible, but probably not. That's my shill. And
Oh yeah.
thank you for running these events. I'll see you all again some other time. Bye.
Well, that was Rikami. Make sure to check out Euden every week, I think. And of course, if you're in the area, check out the event they were chilling. But I'm here with Zip It now. How have you been?
I've been seeing a lot of good matches lately. This top 6 looks brutal. I think 8th got stopped out of top 8 again, which is disappointing. I know they've been wanting it for a while now, but you know,
Yeah,
we're in top 6.
8th has been that 9th place. The been gate kept so many times, but also has had increasingly good wins. But the player that took 8th out right before that top 8, Airy, took the win over Softlock, and now is sitting in the other losers quarters. But we're here now, Lepton versus Hubskoa, and it's gonna be an interesting matchup.
I'm interested to see what Lepton and Hubskoa is going to look like. Lepton running, I think it's like a combo sort of shopkeeper where they go for like hit confirms, and Hubskoa playing very patiently and just getting that like damage over time kind of thing. Yeah, at least I think.
Yeah, especially with that perforate, that card not seen too often, but Lepton does use that minigun into it quite often.
The thing about perforate, I think it works pretty well in this deck because it still hits like 4-away. No, Lepton is just running those 4-aways and getting as much use of it as they can.
Yep. And now with a bit of a lead for Hubskoa though, but the guillotine comes in, the thunder comes in, a little bit more damage down, but Hubskoa continuing to build up this lead, maintain this lead here with slashes on deck, going for a little bit of damage. That's 9 on the board, and Lepton's gonna need to find something quick, or else it'll just be Hubskoa just outpacing.
And trying to go for something that Claw Trap looking like a sublime opening, but what is it? Lepton stopped out just before he can get anything, and Hubskull is still doing lots of damage. That interrupt on the bow snipe, literally a couple hits away. Can't step too far. Rush doesn't hit. Looking for an opening here.
Yep, and we'll close it out there with the slash as Lepton's gonna need to find a bit of an answer because Hubskull right now, it seems like in full control, and the defensive gameplay, especially from Hubskull, just preventing Lepton from finding too many openings.
Yeah, Hubskull is evasive, and Lepton can't get like a grip on anything. Just getting those, thunders, hits on the side, but it's not amounting up to much. Stepping outside that perforate, and Hubskull just being patient, waiting for an opening.
Oh, and getting a little bit of perforate damage. This time it's Lepton who is firmly in the lead now, but leads can be very, very temporary in a game like Duelists of Eden as Hubskull trying to find some damage back, but the threat of the guillotine, right, that 20 damage execute now, I wouldn't say newly, but somewhat recently changed as Hubskull does find a bit of damage back, but the perforate's on deck, doesn't choose to go for it, and Lepton now trying to find that one big damage opening to break this game wide open.
I mean, still, Lepton is very, very up ahead. Looking for this sort of movement. Claw Trap denying any sort of like big push forward, but the rush coming out. Hubskull is looking for like large openings into combos, and Lepton is not giving any. Lepton pushing forward, and nothing comes through. Shuffle comes through, and in 20. Almost there.
It's close, right? Hubskull is at a very dangerous amount of health. That guillotine is scary at the back of Lepton's hand. It's slowly approaching. Might not even need it, but a good rush from Hubskull suddenly makes it very, very scary. The guillotine does not connect. The perforate gets counter hit, and Hubskull up 2-0 in this best of 5.
Hubskull just absolutely holding their own in this match.
So, I think Lepton had quite a significant lead in that game, right? But Hubskull just played defensively. What do you think Lepton needs to change here?
I think it just comes down to getting more confirms, waiting for that sort of opportune moment until you can get that sort of hit. I think Lepton's kind of rushing in a little bit too much. Not going up for that kind of set play, like Shopkeeper is very good at. Yeah,
just like you said, Lepton is feeling like they're a bit in it. They're kind of feeling a little bit hurried to try and make the comeback, especially in a game like this. Does land the bow snipe though. That's a lot of damage back, and now Hubskull needs to be a little bit careful as the health will tick down, but Lepton finding a bit of an opening here to perforate as well. Suddenly, the lead disappears for Hubskull. Comes back, but not quite enough, especially with that guillotine lurking. 14 health remaining, and against Shopkeeper, that is one opening.
Lepton not giving up a little bit, but clearly still has a handle on this game. One punish, it is one touch I think from either of these players, and the other person's dead. I think that's it. Lepton takes a game, and we are going to game 4. Hubskull up 2-1 right now, but we'll see how this plays out.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see, especially because Lepton has been a bit of a star so far, right? People were talking about Lepton during the early stages of his tournament, advancing to top 8. And does have what it takes here, especially after that bow snipe into Thunder. Another minigun, another javelin, finding a lot of early damage here. If Lepton can take it slow and find 1 or 2 big damage openings, that could be us heading to a game 5. But Hubskull has won these in the past. The sparkler chains come in, but counter hit by Lepton, and Lepton's playing this a lot more confidently.
I think Lepton's found their bearings. That reversal coming out, getting a little more damage, and Hubskull getting a good hits in, good pressure, and Lepton's going to shuffle. And you know, Lepton just trying to look for an opening here. Gets the interrupt with the perforate, but you know, we'll see if either player can get an opening in soon. Soon.
Yeah, and with the inverter getting quite a good chunk of damage as Hubskoa, the slashes come in, closing out the game. Hubskoa will not let it go to a game 5 as they are the ones who close out this loser scores match advance to top 4. Well played from Lepton, but I think playing as Hubskoa is hard. Hubskoa just so good on that defense.
Yeah, it really is that defense that you know, makes Hubskoa strong in this. They're able to like weave through that sort of set play that Lepton wants to set up, and so Lepton can't get those big hits and almost guaranteed combos that otherwise would make Lepton otherwise a very strong contender.
Yeah, and now it's Residential versus Airy. Airy player that we haven't seen nearly as much in these brackets. Residential, a bit of a mainstay, has placed quite high in the past. It's definitely going to be an interesting showdown, especially because Residential, of course, of the perp school of Shopkeeper. This is going to be an interesting matchup, especially because Airy using a deck that's similar to what Hubskoa has used in the past, but also the playstyle is completely different. She just goes in, finds really extended combos.
Yeah, I've run into Airy in ranked, and they're just slippery, I think, is the best way to describe them. I can't get a handle on doing anime combos, and I want to see how this plays out in this match, where Residential needs to get like needs to catch their opponent in order to do anything.
Yep. Yeah, I think the pace of this game will become very clear right away, and Residential actually, if they can use self-defense turret to their benefit, that could be matchup defining here, because Airy has a lot of cards that are very vulnerable to that SD turret.
Just like that, using the minigun on the SD turret, and then Residential following it up with a fadeaway. This, I think we're going to see the SD turret become very integral to Residential play here. Gets the Ragnarok, and Airy here needs to get some sort of damage going. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think Residential pretty familiar with the way that Airy is trying to play, right? The raw Ragnarok, not even truly raw. Like, if Airy's sitting in the front row, it gets a little bit obvious what she's aiming for, and Residential knows that, but Airy trying to build up a bit of a comeback here. One opening, all it takes, but not getting hit so far, regenerating a lot of health back, and not getting hit by the bow snipe either. This SD turret might be a little dangerous though, but hitting around it with the other weapon, and now on 13 health, dodges away from the pull, and now Airy looking a lot better in this game, looking like she has a bit of a chance, but can't really find the damage. The Spear Wave comes in, but no big opening.
Oh, this might be a reverse. No! Commentator's curses. I was about to say we might see a reversal. You know, Residential coming out very strong, but Airy might come back and then struck with a Thunder to end that game. Among other things. Residential is making some good plays, stopping out some of Airy's pushes, but the aligned bow snipe not hitting for Residential. Airy kind of, I want to say, like locking in on this gameplay here, dodging the Spear Wave. Both players kind of just looking for an opening now, trying to get something to work.
Yeah, that minigun, a scary card to have in hand against that SD turret, but Airy will get a fresh hand, look for a fresh opening, but Rifle, Residential is the one who finds the bow snipe. And now Airy's in a bit of trouble, does get the Spear Wave, but is dodged away. That combo isn't real, and the Kinetic Wave is thrown away. But Airy gets past the Guillotine and finds an opening of her own, 28 damage, but the Ragnarok right back, and Residential is not letting Airy get a lead.
Pretty even though, I think. No!
Not like that.
Not like that. That's just. Oh no.
That's not how you want the game to end, and Residential now 2-0 up.
Both players just played hit steps the mine. Doesn't get that spear wave, which is kind of crucial to the gameplay here. I think the spear wave is. We're seeing a little bit of lag here, but as I was saying, spear wave is kind of the damage engine of Ares' deck. And if we're seeing if Residential is starting to hit it less, I think we're going to see games tilt towards Residential's favor more often than not.
Yeah, and now Aerie looking for the opening here, trying to accelerate this game, and actually Residential self-damaging a bit with the SD turret. Sometimes SD stands for self-damage instead of self-defense, but now Aerie in a decent position with the spear wave, but gets caught by the Align, gets caught by the Ragnarok, and Residential in a commanding lead now with the guillotine in hand. The game's starting to lag a little bit more as both players pause for a second, but Aerie unfazed, still trying to push forward, but now in critical health. One opening will do it.
Those mines stopping Aerie from getting any steps in. Getting a minigun or two, getting the step auto. This lag is brutal.
Oh, and that's a flashback to Residential's first weekly, I believe. Landing the tax return while trying to get the kinetic wave combo into Ragnarok and actually getting punished for it. This time spear wave comes out, a little bit of SD turret damage, 9 health on both sides, dodged on the bow snipe. Aerie stays alive here and goes in for the flashes, goes in for the minigun, finds the javelin, but it's not quite enough as the guillotine's in hand, doesn't connect. Aerie with the spear wave available, it will kill here, but will it connect? Goes for the fake out, successfully fakes out Residential.
That brutal fake out, burning 2 spells before that spear wave, and I think the Residential falling in for it and taking that hit going up to game 4.
Oh, and finding a big opening too. That's a 20 HP lead. Nothing to be scoffed at here as Aerie is going to try to wear down Residential as quickly as possible with the Align. Ragnarok does connect, and the Residential's keeping up in the damage.
Residential trying to find Aerie here, trying to find an opening, finds one, gets a little bit of damage off. Stuck in what is it? Tax return gravitas though.
Right, another minigun comes through from Aerie as the spear wave connects. Doesn't get caught by the guillotine either, and Aerie with a pretty significant lead here. 2 openings, or even just a good one will do it. That's a spear wave, 15 health remaining. Residential stepping away, but 15 health is not a lot to work with. 7 is even less to work with, as Aerie will have a fresh hand soon, but Residential, it doesn't quite connect with the guillotine.
And Aerie finds an opening, pushing this to a game 5.
So, Zippit, who do you think will win this? It's been 2 games for Residential, then 2 for Aerie, but it's been really close both times.
It's too close for me to tell. Aerie has a good defensive, a very good defense, coupled with a good damage engine. But Residential here just has, that shopkeeper deck that continues to hit no matter like how it's played. You see that Align Rag come through, Aerie dodges it.
Yeah, that's a really good dodge here, and the Residential still has that Ragnarok. All these cards being thrown out. Doesn't have enough mana for the Ragnarok. That's a big moment in this game. That might even determine this game, as Residential's now kind of behind in the momentum, and that guillotine won't connect either. And I think Residential's is starting to swing a lot more.
That spear wave open. Aerie, I think, trying to find a confirm. Doesn't need the confirm. Hits it with just straight up. But Residential firing back with a Ragnarok. Again, both players just looking for some sort of damage, trying to, reduce. That's the point of the game. But trying to get some damage in.
Yeah, and tough situation for Aerie. Does find the minigun and a lot of slashes, but the guillotine at the very end. Residential uses the health as a resource. That shopkeeper closes out this set, moves on to top 4.
Brutal execute with the guillotine. before it would do 14 damage and only be a reversal tool, but here it just that's it. I think I saw area 15 and old guillotine wouldn't kill, but new guillotine had to execute.
Yeah, it's tough, but well played to Airy. That set was extremely close and really could have gone either way, right? It was all the way to the 5th game, but Residential closing it out with that guillotine. Now though, we move on to the winners final with 2 extremely familiar names to see in that winners final. It's Perp versus Mikkel.
I'm kind of scared of this matchup. Mikkel being sort of this consistent combo player, using bombs to lock out areas, kind of a Shiso, sort of. Give me a minute. This Shiso versus Dreadworm, both characters that neither player we've seen before. Actually, Mikkel has been using Shiso more often, but Perpiel on the Dreadworm, I am excited to see how this first match will go.
Yeah, this is interesting. Perp actually swapped off the Dreadworm against Residential because it seemed like Residential did figure it out, got a few wins in that set against Mikkel. It will be even more interesting because Perp kind of talked about making this deck and just said that it was a lot of good cards, and it is looking like a lot of good cards in this deck as Mikkel takes a lot of early damage.
Yeah, I think it is just like a lot of good cards that Manakash to sort of speed up how this deck plays. But Mikkel at these good with these sort of combos and then follow-up pressure.
Oh, but a shield
break.
Yeah, the Vivisection comes in clutch, and that's unfortunately not too much damage for Perp. Still, you'll take that, but not nearly as much as something that would really equalize this game. Didn't really have too many cards in hand. The Vivisection available now, trying to find a way to use it here, but Mikkel is really on point with the backstab this game.
And I think what it is Perpiel needs to convert those touches from Dreadworm. Not finding it though. Mikkel is shutting Perpiel out for this game 1, moving into game 2.
Yep, and Perp swapping to the Shopkeeper with the Dreadworm skin this time, and yeah, against a player like Mikkel, the Dreadworm is fun, but I think Mikkel has the tools to deal with it. And Mikkel, with the win, can't swap off the Shiso, of course, plays the Shiso and the Violet both, but I'm not sure if we'll see Mikkel make a swap here, but I do believe Mikkel actually commented on making a few adjustments to this deck, so that might help in this matchup.
Getting the diffuse on the mine, and it's spot dodging the Align. It is actually interesting how Mikkel has what's the word? Adapted, yes, to Perp gameplay.
Oh, but standing in the front row, Perp just moves to the back, lands the Ragnarok, and now that's a lot of damage potential in the hands of Perp. Diffusing the mine patiently, kind of standing still there, but 20 HP is not a lot, but the shield break comes in. Can Mikkel find the kill here? Finds a lot of damage, but not quite the kill. Does counter hit the Align though. Perp has to be really careful, but the guillotine execute will clutch out the game, and that was down to the wire.
The guillotine execute though, I saw Mikkel getting all of those good hits, and actually I think there was a mana issue. With the Mind Defuse, I'm pretty sure Perpiel would have followed that up with the Ragnarok, but didn't have enough mana. But that doesn't matter, because after Mikkel gets his combo, Perpiel just follows up and gets that game too.
Yeah, and that's got to be a tough loss, but Mikkel is going to try to pretend like that never happened and win this resulting best of 3, right, with the games and the first 2 games being traded. First to 2 wins now, and Mikkel on point with the defense, just dodging away from anything that could pull him into the mine. But this guillotine, this Ragnarok is looking very scary. The Align in hand as well, but Mikkel still finding damage despite that. And even though the Align lands, Perp is in hit stun, can't really find anything, and 50% down in health. Mikkel playing this game much more dominantly.
I think it's playing a little slower as well, just going for more guaranteed hits instead of trying to create pressure because Herpiel really just relying on mistakes that Mikkel makes in order to get big damage, and so Mikkel is slowing down the pace of play. Yeah.
Yeah, and now Mikkel just needs one good opening. Shield break doesn't come in. Perp shield is dwindling to very low, but not quite zero. The backstab again on point to find the damage, but the Ragnarok punishes the press of a button there, and now Perp, the guillotine is in kill range, has a lot of scary cards in hand. The mine comes in, the kinetic wave available. The guillotine will close it out again. The execute from Perp. Oh my.
I mean, yeah, this is the struggle of being at that low HP. I think Mikkel can see it, but you know, seeing it and being able to get move through it and play around it is a completely different beast entirely.
Yeah. And Mikkel again off to an early lead, wants to maintain it for as long as possible because in that end game, that guillotine is so scary. This time another similar lead, 99 to below 50, but Perp has won these before and we're never gonna count her out.
Yeah, you can. Perviel and the Shopkeeper character archetype in general relies on like big damage, big burst damage, and big damage cards. So lead, it doesn't. A lead means less for players playing against Perviel as it means to others.
Yep, getting a bit of damage there as Perp though caught this time. The claws come in and the backstab will cover after the dodge. Mikkel sending us to a game 5, and that game was surgical from Mikkel, right? Didn't give Perp any openings, it felt like.
Yeah, even with that dodge, just couldn't find any sort of opening. And can't find a way to escape. You know that all those cards.
And now Mikkel again a lead, but not as devastating as earlier. Perp finding a lot of early damage, and that could be pretty significant here. Tax return in an awkward spot. The guillotine not in hand, and the Ragnarok goes wide. Mikkel now with a pretty significant lead here, but the claws don't connect, and that's a Ragnarok down. That's a Thunder down. That is more damage for Perp, stacking up 7 HP though, and Mikkel knows how to close these out. The gunshots, 4 health. Perp trying to find an opening here with the mine, trying to align Mikkel into it, but no. Gets caught by the Rude. Perp gets out of there with a fadeaway, but has a guillotine, 17 health, and a dream. Doesn't connect this time, but will go for it again. That execute, so deadly, but the Root comes out, the mine comes out, dodged away. Mikkel, such a dangerous position to be in, and the kinetic wave available, the guillotine available. Oh, but the whirl at the perfect moment. Mikkel will close it out.
Mikkel just managed to get there. One thing that I wanted to bring attention to was when Perpiel was low, her shield was also low, so really just having to rely on evasion, using dodges and movement to just escape that hit. And clearly, you know, even when Regent shield, I think, what is it, Whirl on Flame will shield break. So, you know, really a no situation here. Mikkel taking that game, but you know, Perpiel not making it easy.
Yeah, it's... Now, we're heading down to the loser semi. Hubskoa versus Residential. 2 of the most notable up-and-comers. I can't even say up-and-comers anymore. They are they're firmly solid players at this point, getting deep into brackets so many times over and over, and
yeah,
Residential queued up for a Valorant game.
Residential, you can't queue for a Valorant game in bracket.
Well, that's exactly what happened, and Live to Tell the Tale is currently in top 4.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, they made it this far. They clearly have something to say. You know, I think these players are can stand on the stage, and you know, more power to them.
Yep, Hubskoa versus Residential now. It's going to be quite interesting here to see, because these two, I believe, have faced off quite a few times before. I think Hubskoa has been a little bit more successful in this matchup, but it's never been a stomp, I think. My memory sucks, though, so I could be lying. I could be making things up.
I mean, I think that's how this match is going to go as well. It's what is it? No, nobody's defense is perfect. Otherwise, we'd be seeing really, really long matches. But and what is it? Residential relies on those sorts of missteps in defense in order to get those big damage cards.
Ooh, almost finding an opening on the triple barrel there, but it does have deceptively low lag on the end of it, and Hubsko, of course, that defense coming out, not getting hit by the Align and just trying to interrupt Residential here, but it's hard to find an opening. Residential with the Claw Trap and the self-defense turret is making it hard for Hubskoa to sit in the front row quite well, and those two cards might define the matchup.
I think Hubskoa is actually hurting for mana as well. Getting a little bit of chip damage in with the Saffron Weapon 1, but you know, a little bit of damage matters. Oh no, a shield break! Residential getting that shield break, getting a pretty good punish out of it, I would say. Not as much I think would be possible, but they're all. But I think pretty good with what they have on hand.
That Raw Ragnarok though suddenly creates a massive lead, and Residential now just needs one more opening, one guillotine execute, even can afford to play this game pretty slowly here because Hubskoa's large amount of straight lines and steps mean that Claw Trap and that self-defense turret are so good at walling off the front row. And like you said, Hubskoa's deck kind of running into a few mana issues in terms of when Hubskoa is trying to land some of these combos.
Residential is just walling out Hubskoa with mine after mine after mine. You can't step anywhere if your field is covered in mines.
Yeah, and once again the guillotine comes in, and Hubskoa, it's so hard to play this game when Residential played that matchup perfectly, right? I guess just the idea of I can kill you in one opening no matter what, so it doesn't matter how much damage I take. Started at like 60 HP, dropped down to 30, but when Hubskoa is at 20 health or below, all Residential needs is one hit.
Yeah, that guillotine is just like a terror in endgame because what are you gonna do? That guillotine covers so much space, and especially with Shopkeeper's Gravitas, it's very, very difficult to escape.
Alright, Hubskoa trying to find a better game this time, not getting caught by the guillotine early, but Residential still looking confident, and this is the other flavor of Hubskoa's quote-unquote new deck. It's the old one, but with a few additions in the Vivisection and the Inverter, and of course the Spear Wave that we've come to know from Hubskoa, but it might be too little too late here because Residential is looking very used to it.
I think like Hubskoa can't find an opening even with all that defense and all that good movement. If you can't get any damage in, you're not gonna win the game. And you know, Hubskoa is very, very good at avoiding a lot of damage, but especially with Residential's type of deck, which does a lot of damage very, very quickly. You can't. Residential has all the time in the world to wait out Hubskoa, and then when Hubskoa makes a mistake, there you go, going for the kill.
Yeah, especially because the slight weakness of Hubskoa's deck is just camping all the way in the back column, and it's really showing because Residential is just spending most of the game there, and with a good SD turret, that's a lot of damage back. That's a guillotine, and that is Hubskoa going down for the second game in a row, even with the deck swap, and Residential looking really good. This is a Residential that's scarier than what we've seen in the past. This is like a new Residential.
Yeah, Hubskoa finding a couple hits early there, dodging, getting away from the guillotine. But you know, Residential's here still controlling a massive amount of space. Hubskoa hitting themselves with a Vivisection, not quite getting any good damage, and Residential hitting them with a bow snipe. I don't know what this means for this game, but it can't be good for Hubskoa.
Yeah, a little bit closer in terms of health, but also dropping low. The pace of the game more rapid than the one before, as Residential is just walling out the front row, finding that fadeaway as well, and Hupskoa just can't find any big damage down, while the bow snipe comes in, catches a step back. Residential decisive 3-0 in this loser semi to advance the top 3.
Brutal. I mean, yeah, that's what happens. Husqvarna good at defense, but when you can't get that damage output rolling, Residential has all the time in the world to get those big damage hits in.
Yep. And now Residential moves on to the losers final. Left the lobby for some reason.
Residential, get back here!
Maybe
You
scared
just
of
won the
perp.
game.
There we go.
There we go. All right.
I hope Rez didn't queue up a Valorant game in that short time.
Please. I mean, I don't think you can get a Valorant game that fast, and I'm pretty sure you can leave before that.
Well, it's the Dreadworm coming in, but Residential has actually done quite well against the Dreadworm, right? Went 2-2 against it, against Perp in the winner side, and forced Perp off it onto the signature shopkeeper. So we'll see if Rez can do that again, because that would be pretty good.
Yeah, Periel looking very strong, I think, on the Dreadworm. I think that just comes down to how good players are when it comes to their fundamentals, their offense, their pressure, their defense. Both play duelist neutral moment, but both players just kind of looking for an opening to get some damage in.
Yeah, and oh, the Vivisection. That's 3 hits, right? That's 15 damage for 1 mana. Huge for Perp here, as another shuffle comes through, and if another Vivisection lands, another 15 damage! Rez ran the 2 Vivisections in a row, and now Perp's at an absolutely devastating lead even after that Ragnarok.
I mean, yeah, this is that's how Vivisection works. I'm pretty sure the most damage to mana efficient card
Yep,
in the game.
barely beats Ultrangle. And that's a scary proposition, but Residential getting their bearings, and now at a very, very good health to work with. The Vivisection does not come in, and 1 opening is all it takes. Okay, 2 openings, I lied, but 5 health on Perp, and this is not a situation you want to be in as someone who is against the shopkeeper but doesn't get hit by the guillotine. I think Perp knows the shopkeeper game plan probably the most out of anyone in Duelists, and still not getting caught. Now in the lead and making Rez sweat a little with the counter hits.
Yeah, those counter hits are coming in clutch for Perp here. You're looking for an opening, and Perpiel finds an opening, almost kills themselves with the Vivisection afterwards, but that is game 1? I think that's game 1.
And Residential going with the in-game name, picking the character with a gun. And this is a bit of a strange departure from the shopkeeper we know, as this is not something we usually see from the player known as Residential, but we'll see if it cooks.
I think it looks like a pretty standard deck. Entangle and Claw Trap for the sort of root setups that Nicole pioneered. I think kind of pioneered the first, but getting those good hits in, and Residential, I think down a little bit, but still has those sorts of setups to make it work.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult though. Perp landed a great combo into the Vivisection earlier. Not quite a combo, but a string, and now Residential needs to find something quickly because the Vivisection damage is piling up. The good cards from Perp in this deck. I mean, that's what she said, right? Just put a bunch of good cards into this Dreadworm deck, but the parry is not going to be what she wants here, as Residential does get a little bit of damage back.
I mean, what is it? Dreadworm doesn't really care too much about range. Purple doesn't need to be up at the front all the time, except for when it comes to like steps. And so, Purple is perfectly content with sitting in the back and not having to fight that entangle or that whirl.
Oh, and Residential has to be a little bit careful. The Vivisection self-damage from Perp helped out a little, but it is Perp taking a second game here with the Dreadworm. And now where do we go? Still on the Shiso.
And Shiso coming out, we're seeing some of that W2 into shields, so your that bullet can't be countered like that. I think that auto whirl doesn't land, and Purple just moving, avoiding all of these sorts of hits, and Residential can't get a grasp, gets a minigun, but nothing else is coming out for them right now.
Yeah, Perp's defense a little overwhelming now as the consistent damage is also coming in. Rez just can't find an opening, getting counter hit over and over. The primary counter hits so good. This time the Vivisection self damage, but it's only 5 damage and such a massive lead in the favor of Perp here. The bouncing blade continues to connect, going for another one, but not quite, as this is a 40 health lead. It's becoming a little bit too much to deal with, especially because of Dreadworm's ability to counter hit both with the laser and with the sword projectile top and bottom. But wait a second, Residential maybe finding footing a little bit here, but needs to find a big opening quick.
Yeah, Residential is finding some good hits, but I don't know if it'll be enough. That's the issue here. Is yeah, you can get hits, but Dreadworm is Purple is throwing everything at you: the lasers, the swords,
the Vivisection.
The Vivisection for the kill.
Yeah, that's the 3-0 in the favor of Perp. Moving on to Grands.
And we're going to see Purple rise to Grands from losers, where she faces Mikkel again.
Oh, I messed up the replay. So we saw one replay from the previous set, but yeah, we're seeing a grand finals now.
Alright, Purple actually opening with Shopkeeper this time.
Yeah, Mikkel allowing Perp to handshake that, because normally you do have to start with your starter, but yeah. Mikkel just handshaking it, and this is gonna be an interesting one. This is a matchup that we've seen a million times before, and this is just the latest iteration, but this time with Mikkel Shiso.
I think Mikkel Shiso. I've played it many times, and I think it's threatening. I would say its potential for combos, like we've seen with Mikkel's Violet, is still so very high, and we'll see how this sort of combo play plays out against Purple's not as combo oriented, big punch sort of deck.
Yep, and already big damage coming out in the favor of Perp. Mikkel brought to 2/3, and a lot of scary cards available. Actually, Perp catching Mikkel's movement out of the Mind Diffusal and getting a lot of damage back still.
Yeah, I think Purple is catching on. I think we're starting to see like another layer of play be developed after the Mind Defuse. And then Mikkel goes for the defuse and gets punished for it by Align Rag.
Right. Perp now trying to find an opening. Actually aligns the bomb and then triple barrels with the bomb at Mikkel's back. What a crazy conversion there, but Mikkel trying to find the kills. The claws aren't fast enough, and they're both at such low health.
Both players just, I think for either player, both sorts of touches kill. And yeah, just like that, Mikkel gets a touch, and then Mikkel follows it up into a kill for game 1.
Well played for Mikkel, and looking to take the victory here, because Perp has gotten the better of Mikkel in their previous duels in this tournament series at the very least, so a win here would be huge. But once again, seems like a common theme. Perp finds one opening, starts off with a bit of an early lead, and a guillotine will just extend it.
I think Mikkel is starting to see another layer of play, like, what is it, unfold here. Mikkel not immediately rushing for the back to try and get that defuse going. Instead, leaving it and leaving that mine to, despawn. And Mikkel getting some good hits in here, getting some ammo going, and both players just need to find an opening.
Whoa! Perp just getting the guillotine Ragnarok, and suddenly Mikkel is at critical health. One opening is all it takes, even half of an opening. Mikkel has to be really careful near that mine, but Mikkel also bringing Perp quite low with the immediate combo afterwards, no fear, and now Perp is also in kill range. Mikkel dodging away from the line, and Perp trying to go for some kinetic wave, but gets caught by the mark, and that mark hit stun is all that Mikkel needs to go up 2-0 in grands.
That is insane. That claw trap, I thought would have blocked Mikkel out of making any game-ending plays, but apparently it doesn't. That mark forcing an opening really for Mikkel, and getting some guillotine into triple barrel into fadeaway. But I don't know if this sort of high damage will last much longer against Mikkel's combo engine.
Right, yeah, 41 health, but the Ragnarok take a slight lead. But as you said, Mikkel has been so effective in his combos, in finding these openings, but the claws don't connect. That's a lot of cards gone, but the guillotine doesn't land either. Fadeaway is good, the Thunder is good. Perp looking for one more opening to close out this game, but Mikkel just, what a dodge! Just steps no fear into the claw trap with the dodge to defuse the... What?
The dodge, yeah, it was a beautiful dodge step into the claw trap, defuse the mine, and then get the hell out of there. A beautiful, beautiful dodge.
If there's a game for Mikkel to close it, it is this one. At a deficit, but needs one opening. Has the damage to confirm it on a good combo, but it's not going to be easy, right? Perp just needs one opening as well. One good hit will do it, but Mikkel with the opening, with the whirl, will close it out at 3-0. Grand finals for Mikkel.
Shut out. Mikkel not leaving anything to chance, and absolutely, it's a shutout.
Yeah, what a win for Mikkel, and my only regret is that Mikkel is not streaming right now, unlike usual, so we can't just immediately get the easy raid.
It's a beautiful play. I think that the dodge step is massive. If otherwise, that sort of claw trap mine setup could have been very, very dangerous for Mikkel. And I think when it comes to defensive play, Mikkel is improving. I say that as if he's not one of the best here.
Yeah, he's like at the top level, and then he's getting even better. Yeah, that bomb might have been a huge danger, but it didn't matter because of that crazy dodge step, and well, that's the 5th Monday shuffle, Sunday Monday shuffle, whatever.
It's Sunday Monday. It's somewhere in between. We will not have it at 11:59 on Sunday. Please do not.
Yep.
It's Sunday or Monday, not somewhere in between.
Well, that's about it. Zipit, anything you want to say?
I hope never to face these players in ranked, but I know I will, and I will cry when I do.
Yeah, thanks everyone for playing. Thanks everyone for watching. Thanks Zipit for being here with me, and also thanks to Rakami for being with me earlier. And yeah, see you next week for Sunday Shuffle on Sunday that time. But yeah, that's about it. 2-hour tournament.
Make sure to show up.